I got kicked out of a former friend's bridal party because I was not able to afford the very expensive bachelorette party, which included bottle service at Tao and very expensive prefix menu at Maple and Ash. The bride never asked any of the girls our budgets, what we were able to spend during this, and she was also having a destination wedding to a very expensive destination. It wasn't until after the Airbnb was booked and paid for that we were told what all of the activities would be. Going all in for the bachelorette would have cost about what my mortgage costs. So I spoke with the bride about my discomfort with spending this much money, and essentially we came to the conclusion that I simply could not afford it. Of course, word came back to me at the bachelorette party that she was talking mad shit about me, and then she later kicked me out of the bridal party. Anyway, her wedding happened not that long ago, and the tea and the drama and the fallout between the rest of her bridesmaids, I just love being on the right side of history here.
Wedding cost transparency, let's get into it. So it took a lot for me to even muster up the courage to make this video, because a lot of the times I even find myself thinking, you're paying how much? For what? But I saw some other comments from other girls in other videos about how much they're paying for their wedding, and I don't feel as guilty anymore, so let's go. So here's what I'm spending on my major vendors for my June 2025 wedding in Southern California for a guest count of 200. Venue, food, and bar, these are all lumped together, $46,000 for that. Planner, about $3,000. Photographer, $5,600. Videographer, $4,800. Content creator, $850. Florist, right now about $11,700. DJ MC, $4,000. Photo booth, $1,250. Hair and makeup, $3,500. Remember those minimums that I talked about in my other video? Yeah, got me there. Miscellaneous rentals, so like lighting, dance floor, upgraded chairs, upgraded bar, etc. About $7,000. Okay, so that was just for my major vendors. If you add in how much I spent on my dress, alterations, bridal accessories, how much my fiance spent on his tux, all of the other little things that go into planning a wedding, all in, we are going to end up spending $90,000 to $100,000.
Oh my God!
General, but believe it or not, it's not uncommon to be paying that type of money for a wedding of my size in Southern California. I just wanted to be like super open and transparent with you, so when you do see the final product of my wedding, if you just are starting out planning your wedding, you can kind of gauge like how much your wedding is actually going to cost, because I'm telling you, the average cost of a wedding on the knot and everything is not accurate. At least it's not accurate if you want to have even close to your dream Pinterest board wedding. But it should all be worth it in the end. Right? Right? Right?
Today we're going to cover the absurd amounts that people are paying to get married, and in terms of marriage cost as a whole. To me, it doesn't make sense in terms of the outrageous amounts that are being spent and just people just throwing money away just on one day of ceremony, because it doesn't make sense for me in terms of people, the outrageous amounts that they are spending. This is what we're gonna see in this video, but I for one, I don't believe that you should spend more than 50,000 or spend more than half of your monthly salary on a wedding. But who am I to say I'm a guy, I don't have a dream wedding? And before we start, please don't forget to subscribe, and before I waste more of your time, let's get on with it.
Weddings are expensive, like really expensive. And according to a study by jeweler Mark Brumand, these are the 5 states where it's the most expensive to get married. New Jersey comes in first, with weddings costing a cool $55,000 a pop. For the record, a $55,000 wedding is $20,000 over the national average. But it makes sense though, because New Jersey is one of the most expensive states to live in, period. Now this might be shocking, but New York is actually cheaper than New Jersey for once. Weddings here average $49,000 thanks to sky-high costs and the expectation of glitzy, over-the-top celebrations, especially in the city. Because if I'm not getting a carriage ride around Central Park in my wedding dress to make everyone else jealous, then I don't want it at all. Connecticut comes in third, with weddings averaging $44,000, partly due to the state's already high cost of living. But with incomes in the state also above average, couples might be better equipped to handle that high price tag. Good for them. Next up, we have Maine. Now, Maine may have the lowest cost of living in New England, but weddings here are still pretty pricey. In fact, they're tied with Connecticut at $44,000. So to put it into perspective, the average wedding costs more than the entire year's salary for a single child-free person working full-time in the state. People are really going all out to say I do. And rounding out the list, it's a three-way tie with New Hampshire weddings also costing $44,000. A housing crisis and high cost of living make it a tough spot for budget-conscious couples. So if you're dreaming of a big wedding but also want to save money, a bit of advice, steer clear of New England.
When are you getting married?
July 25th.
July 25th. Okay. Is it a small wedding, big wedding, mid-sized wedding? Have we paid for it? What is the situation? Because obviously that is going to be an expense coming up.
It's a mid-sized wedding, I think.
Okay. Cost?
$12,000.
What have we paid so far?
Well, I put it on a credit card.
So it's on a credit card. And is it the whole thing?
Yeah, it's covered.
Yeah.
So the wedding's done.
Well, the wedding didn't happen. The wedding,
No,
There's
but paid for, done. Paid for, done.
There's a couple more expenses that need to be paid for.
yeah.
So like the cake and then some other people, and then we're gonna add some guests, and that will cost more money.
How many people are going to this thing?
70, and it's all friends and
70. That's a
70.
decent amount.
Most of them
And-
are family members.
yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, how much do we have in debt? Like for this household, we're going into a marriage. What's the household debt number? What is the household debt number?
Can you put a number on
Above.
it?
Yeah, this is, well, we certainly can. This is a scary situation that you guys don't even know what the household debt's going to look like. And we're headed into a marriage. We're already spending $25,000 or whatever on this wedding. Wonderful. On a credit card. So what is this household debt currently?
35,000
$35,000 if not $45,000. Has to be.
if we're including school debt. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
45,000 at the
Actually, not-
at the height.
Something, yeah.
35 to 45.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds
okay.
accurate.
Yeah. 87,741.
kidding.
Nope.
87.
What?
So you guys better not
But
be
despite
going
that, we
on.
still want to go to Japan after the wedding.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
We still want to do that. How'd that honeymoon?
Well, after it's a wedding to Japan. What the f is that gonna cost?
2
Have you had it
weeks.
like?
If you cannot afford a big wedding ceremony, there's no need to make a big wedding ceremony. You can just make something small and invite friends over. I mean, there's no need to actually go to credit card debt. If you have a family member who has a house, you can even ask them if you can hold that ceremony. Then just invite very close friends and family. Then you do your whole small celebration. Then when you're done, you can go to Japan all you want. Now you know that at least you have something good on your conscience, actually starting the wedding and the marriage on a good note without any debt. Because I mean, the credit card debt is just going to keep on piling up and it's just going to put a strain on your marriage in the long run. So why do you want to go through that route? But amen, there's a lot of people who are not financially responsible. I just hope that the people who are watching this video are more responsible than this couple right here.
The average wedding in the United States costs $33,000 as of 2024, and that's up from $29,000 in 2023. So how much should you actually be spending on a wedding these days? The biggest costs to factor in for a wedding are usually the number of guests, the venue, and whether or not to invite your creepy uncle, because that could just cost you a lifetime of therapy. Just kidding about the uncle part, but here are the average prices of wedding features according to the popular website Zola. This is for a wedding of 100 guests, and you can see that most people spend a lot of their budget on the venue as well as food, and please note that this does not include the cost of an engagement ring. When it comes to your own wedding, if you don't want to spend a crazy amount, really think twice about who you invite. Think about what categories you want to spend more money on and what categories you don't need to splurge on. You can even get creative with ways to save, like use a grandparent's backyard as a venue. A financial guideline is to spend no more than 20% of your combined annual income on a wedding. So if you and your spouse combine to make $150K per year, try to target $30,000 for your wedding or less. How much do you think is right, or how much did you spend on your wedding? Let me know in the comments.
Yeah, I can already say it's not gonna happen. People are actually spending more than that 30,000, and these are people actually don't even earn that amount of combined 150,000. For me, in terms of guests, if I'm ever to get married, okay, I am definitely gonna get married I would target 50. That's my ideal number. But I don't know a lot of people. And in terms of friends, not all my friends are going to be invited. If you're that friend and we can spend more than a month without talking, just know that you're going to be excluded from that wedding. I just want very few people, those 5 people that I talk with, just a few family members, my parents, and my partner can invite a few friends and a few family members who are important. We are done. We don't need to invite the whole village. Then we can actually do something that is actually cost effective and not spend so much on a wedding. Then we can decide in terms of a honeymoon where to go with whatever money that we have saved, not the money that we're just blowing out and we don't even know where it comes from, whether it's from a credit card.
35K for 35 people does sound like a lot until you actually get into wedding planning. Like, everything is just so expensive, especially in this economy. We knew that because we were having a small wedding, that we could have a big budget and get exactly what we want. That means I'm getting the dress that I want, not a dress I have to budget for. He's getting a suit that he wants. We didn't have a reception, so we took all of our guests to a very nice, expensive restaurant. So that was like a big chunk of it too. We didn't want to go cheap on the decor. I wasn't DIYing anything. We wanted the best of the best. Literally, our experience was so seamless. I don't even think we really had to do anything. Our planner did everything. So the money that we spent was well spent. Like, I had no complaints.
When paying that much for a wedding, you got to take into account a lot of things, like how much a suit costs, the venue, decorations,
Cake.
the cake, rental car, if you wanted to do that, transportation for everybody. So we factor in stuff like that, but not everybody does that.
So if you think about it, if we would have had the type of wedding that we had with the decor and everything that we wanted, like our vision for what our wedding day was going to be with 100+ guests, that would have easily cost us over $200,000.
It's very possible for a wedding to be $35K, easy $50K.
Our wedding day was everything that I could have imagined it to be. Especially because, you know, growing up, like as a girl, you think about how your wedding day is going to be this big, you know, extravagant day. And because now, you know, we wanted to have a smaller wedding, I still felt like I got that.
It's definitely money well spent for me. Quick, but it was worth it.
I know he's happy that I wasn't like, yeah, I want a big wedding. Like I said, we have friends that are spending like
$300K.
$300K. $500K. That was not gonna be us. I'm still happy that we were able to get everything that we wanted. Can't wait to share the pictures. You guys will see why it was $35K for 35 people.
The budget is $55K, 90 people, Baltimore. She had a planning package for $5,500. For her save the dates, she spent $300, and she only did save the dates. Stationery, $300. She didn't have menus or anything on the table, none of that. That wasn't important to her. Her venue ended up being $25,000.
God damn! Like, why would you spend $25,000 on a wedding venue? Like, what are we doing in these weddings, guys? Like, who are we trying to impress? Who are we trying to impress that we have to be paying so much just in one day and just for pictures? Like, I mean, what's so important about going on the altar, getting the ring, then you go to your honeymoon? Why are people spending so much? Nah, man. I know as ladies, it's your dream, but at the same time, it shouldn't be your dream to be throwing money in the ocean, man, and impressing people who don't even care about you on Instagram. Like, that's kind of dumb to me. And hopefully I don't find a partner like that, because that's stupid, man. Like, we need to think when we spend money on what you are spending the money on. It needs to make sense, because I mean, we're not celebrities. We don't have 25K lying around just to throw around.
$100. So she had food and beverage, bartending, linens, all of her servers, all of those things, all in that price point.
For bartending, did they have to supply alcohol, or did the venue?
This was full service wedding venue, so like they had it there. Their photographer was $3,199 with a $400 travel fee. They really wanted a band, which they spent $1,000 on a band. It wasn't really a band, it was more of an orchestra. We're not there for more than an hour and a half. DJ was a non-negotiable for this couple.
Okay.
They spent $2,200 on their DJ. She spent $9,500 $561 on her decor. The venue was very aesthetically beautiful already. She did have like a nice seating chart, like a nice big seating chart with flowers and stuff on it. She used a lot of what the venue provided her with, and she omitted getting additional rentals because the venue had all of those items. So this budget was $55,365.
We're getting married in New York City for under $15,000 for about 50 people. And here's why we pivoted from the world's largest cruise ship with a bigger wedding to narrowing down our guest list and kind of like eloping or like micro wedding it in New York City.
So we're going to be doing a ceremony and then also just a dinner after, because we decided not to do a reception. But
we're just not dancing people, and I think people forget that everything when you plan your wedding is a choice.
This is the well-informed couple. I agree with everything that they're doing. I approve. Well, especially the dancing part, because my partner says she wants me to dance on our wedding, even though she knows that my body is stiff as hell and I don't even know how to dance. I'm gonna embarrass myself.
So if something doesn't resonate with you and your significant other, you don't have to do it just because it's a tradition. And dancing just adds a layer of awkwardness. We're not dancers. We don't have a song. Our parents don't have songs with us. Like, it just held no meaning. And we're like, why bother adding a layer of anxiety and awkwardness to our wedding? And then the photographer would take pictures of us awkwardly dancing, which would make us even more awkward. So we just nixed that all together.
And it's also costing us as low as $25 to go ahead and get married in Central Park.
Yeah, $25. We're getting married at the Cop Cot, which I'll insert a picture of here. And you can't decorate anything in Central Park, which I love even more because the park itself is iconic. It doesn't really need anything. And it's one less thing for us to have to worry about, pay for, or plan.
And since we are nixing the whole reception, we're just going to be doing a dinner afterwards, hopefully close to Central Park, where we're going to be having our ceremony. So
it'll be easy for people to get to, and people only care about good food at weddings. I'm gonna be real with you. Whenever I go to a wedding, I'm like, please let there be good food. I would so much prefer better food and open bar than worrying about dancing or something else. So we're investing our money instead into a live string band during our dinner. We're gonna have a private room for it. We're gonna have a 3-course meal, open bar for 2 hours, and I think all of our guests will be pretty happy with that. The night before the wedding, we are inviting everyone to meet us at a bar, so it'll be like on everyone's dime, like they'll have to pay their way for that. But the day of our wedding, it's gonna be the ceremony and dinner, and then afterwards we're gonna kind of go clubbing and find like a bar with live music that's a bit classier. And then on Sunday, because our wedding's on a Saturday, we are going to be doing some sort of activity, so suggestions welcome. As a guest, what would you want to do? It is gonna be a smaller group. We're expecting about 40-ish people. And since there's not as many people, it kind of opens up ideas of things we could do together and make a fun memory. Like, we were thinking about renting a double-decker bus, like one of the big buses you see go around the city that sightsee all the top iconic spots.
Ooh, I like that. Renting that double-decker bus. I like that. That's very creative and cost-effective because it's not expensive to rent that bus.
We were considering doing maybe a museum together as a group, or I don't know.
Which one was it? The Met Museum?
The Met or the Natural Museum of History. But Tyler brought up a good point yesterday. We could even see if there's a baseball game, because I'm a big Yankees fan. My family is too, and he likes the Red Sox. That'd be so fun if they played each other that weekend, but some kind of sporting event might be fun too.
How much I was quoted for a luxury Napa Valley wedding. I recently got married and I just found my wedding planning Excel sheet, which has all of my vendor quotes in it. I think we had stars in our eyes when we were wedding planning and definitely had to adjust our expectations because these vendors aren't cheap because they were too expensive. A videographer, the average I was quoted was about $3,000. Photographers went between $4,000 and $12,000. A caterer for 100 people went between $18,000 and $27,000. Venues went between $5,000 and $20,000. For 3 days, a luxury hotel for my husband and I, we were quoted about $3,000 with tax and everything included. For a florist, we were quoted between $6,000 and $15,000, which is just $15,000. Crazy. For hair and makeup, the average I was quoted was about $4,000. And that was for 4 bridesmaids, parents, and myself. For a cake, I was quoted between $600 and $4,000 for one of those crazy tiered cakes. For a designer wedding gown, I was quoted between $6,000 and $12,000. For veils, I was quoted between $50 and $1,000. Definitely dependent on if you go the designer route or not. For signage and built-ins, we were quoted between $1,000 and $2,500, which to me is just insane. So spoiler alert, my husband ended up making ours and they looked amazing. For a photo booth, I was quoted between $1,000 and $1,500. This one made me so mad because we would have only had a photo booth for 3 hours, so it would have been over $300 an hour. Instead, we did disposable cameras and it was way better. For a DJ, I was quoted between $2,650 and $4,000. And for wedding planners and coordinators, I was quoted between $4,000 and $20,000, depending on the scope of the work. That ranged from everything from day of coordinators to full scope planning. And some things people forget to consider when wedding planning: tips, insurance, heaters, rings, postage, transportation and shuttles, hotel blocks, alterations. My alterations were so expensive. It was terrible. And
if you're a 2025 or 2026 bride, or you're not even engaged and you're literally just curious, you're going to want to stop and screenshot this photo. I just got married on March 15th, so about a week ago, and I am going to break down the cost of my wedding. For background, I had my ceremony at a beach club in Fort Lauderdale, and I had my reception over in my parents' backyard, and this is what I paid to have my wedding. Let me just start by saying this does not include little things like hair, nails, makeup, little personalized things that I did. This is just like the big things that you need to have the wedding. So all in all, I probably paid about $20,000 to have my wedding. I'm going to start with like the biggest things first. So obviously my biggest ticket item was our food.
I just thought to leave this video on a high note so that I can give you in terms of realistic spendings that a lot of people are actually spending and finding creative ways to spend on a wedding ceremony, and actually spend less and not spend a lot and not even go into debt, so that I don't depress a lot of people and make you think that you shouldn't get married because things are so expensive. So we're gonna end this video right here, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and also tell us in the comments below in terms of how much would you spend on a wedding, or how much do you spend when you got married, and how much it's a realistic amount for everyone to be able to aim for in terms of getting married. And yeah, as always, I'll see you again, same time, same place.